If you're new today, can you just wave your hand like this? I see. Oh, wow, we've got several. Wonderful. This is great. So wonderful to have you all. So we might be having a couple more people join us. So I'll go ahead and start by introducing myself. My name is Shannon Elliott, and I am the manager of our InSync network, which is our support group leader network at PMD Alliance. And so we've got several staff on the call with us today. We have our regulars, Rachel, and she, if anyone knows Rachel, she's normally calling in from Phoenix, but she is out in San Diego right now enjoying the ocean. And how exciting is that? So if you want to say hi, Rachel, and then pass it on to another one of our staff members.
All right. Hello, everybody. I am in sunny San Diego for the next couple of weeks. That's the beauty of working remotely for this organization. And I am so happy to be here. I'm the community network manager. So I am the connector, the people connector, the support group leader connector. And I love these roundtables because we get information and tips and information from everybody across the country and sometimes in different parts of the world. And so I'm thrilled to be here today, and I'm going to pass it on to Kelly in Nashville.
Hello, everybody. Yes, I'm Kelly in Nashville, and I'm the online programs manager here at PMD Alliance. And so I coordinate and manage our throughout the week NeuroLife online educational webinars, and then I join these InSync support group leader meetings to offer tech support in the background. And yeah, glad to be here today. Let's bump it over to Ashley.
Hi, everyone. It's so nice to see you all. I am the writer and storyteller here, so I get to hear so many of your stories, which has been really such a blessing and honor for me, and I get to share them. And I'm happy to hear a little bit more from you all today. I'm going to pass it now. We've several new team members now, so I'm going to pass it to Clemmy, who's one of our new team members.
Hi, everyone. I'm Clemmy from Maryland. I am in Calvert County. So I know some of you, and you may remember me because I am also a support group leader, and I have been an ambassador for PMDA for the last 2 years. So I have been with the organization for a while, and now I just joined PMDA as a staff member at the beginning of April. And I am the Associate Director for Community and Support Group Initiatives. So the wonderful things that we have been doing with the support groups, I am in charge of taking it to the underserved communities, like the rural communities and Spanish-speaking communities. So I have learned so much from all of you, and I am looking forward to learning even more. And I am going to pass it to Eden.
Eden. I am the Associate Director of Programs here at PMD Alliance. I've also done support group leading, and to be honest, I'm a little just jealous of Honolulu over there, thinking that'd be lovely to be in Honolulu right now. But I'm so glad to see all these faces, and I look forward to learning more about you. I'm gonna toss it back to Shannon.
Excellent. Thanks, everybody. So I am going to go ahead and get started with our roundtable today. I'm going to share my screen with you, and we can get going. All right. Okay, how does that look? Can everyone see my screen? Perfect. Yes. I see some heads up. Or thumbs up rather. All right, so again, welcome. This is our April support group leader roundtable. And so we like to call this our support group for support group leaders. So this is a chance for you all to get together and brainstorm, ask questions, if you have concerns, anything going on with you and your role as a leader. This is a perfect place to ask your colleagues. So we are going to be going into breakout rooms to enable better conversation and sharing, so everyone has a chance to talk. Let's go ahead and get moving here. I am going to see if I can find, there we go. My mouse gets lost sometimes. So as we begin our roundtable, I like to get everybody engaged off the bat. And so what I would love to do is have a chat storm. So if you know where your chat box is, depending on where your menu is, you're going to look for the chat bubble, click it, and then the white pane will come to the right-hand side of your Zoom window. What I would love you to do is to think of something that is serving as a source of joy or inspiration for you right now. And so you might think back to over the weekend, something you might have enjoyed, or even waking up this morning on Monday, something you're grateful for. So let's share that so we can brighten each other's days. And okay, I'm going to open my chat box. So walking in nice weather, I love that. Relationships, love that. Yep, spirituality, excellent. Family, animals. Oh, spring. I can share that too. So for me, the tulips in my backyard are making me joyful. I love them. They make me so happy. Rain. Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad somebody's getting rain. We've had terrible fires, wildfires out here in New Mexico, lots of dust and smoke. So hoping that ends soon all over the country, I'm sure. There are lots of different crazy weather patterns happening. So just stay safe and healthy, everybody. Excellent. Pickleball. Yes, Phil. I know that's your go-to sport activity. Did someone have a birthday? Maybe I missed it. The chat's just flowing. So hopefully you're reading along and experiencing joy vicariously. So thinking of what others are experiencing and you can enjoy that yourselves. So again, as I always say during these trainings, this is a meta experience. So anything that we do with you as group leaders, think about how you might take these activities to your support group members and do this with your groups as well. So this would be a nice warm up engagement activity to start off your meeting. Okay, great. Thanks for sharing, everybody. All right, so moving forward, we always share our collaboration agreements with one another just so we're on the same page, so we understand what the expectations are of everybody. So we're doing a really good job with this already. So muting your mic when necessary, just to eliminate the background noise, but please do share and unmute if you have something to add to the conversation. You can always wave your hand like this if you have something to say, and hopefully one of us as staff will be able to see that happening and then call on you. In the center here, listen deeply. So this is just a reminder that having an open ears, open heart, listening is probably the greatest gift that we can give someone. So just being very present with one another. The yes, and we borrow that from the improv world. So building on other people's ideas, especially in our breakout rooms, so that we are adding on to what other people say. Moving with intention, just making sure that everyone has a chance to speak. And so just being aware of how long you're sharing. And then last but not least, please be patient with our technology and the people trying to run it because it's tricky sometimes, as you know. So thank you in advance for that. All right. Moving forward here. So I just wanted to make sure that all of you know we have upcoming in-person workshops across the country. We had our very first one, was it last week or it must be 2 weeks ago now. Time is just like, woof. So Phoenix, we had our first in-person workshop in 2 years since COVID. And it was fantastic. We had, let's see, I think 2 people here. Dave, if you want to just wave your hand like that. Yep. So Dave was there. And then Phil, can you wave your hand, Phil? He says, oh yeah, it was April 13 and 14. Thank you for that reminder. Time is a strange entity these days. So we have some upcoming in-person workshops. First one, the next one rather, is Pittsburgh. So anyone in that area, please register for that. That's in May. Nashville is after that. And then we do have plans to go to Birmingham, Alabama. There'll be one in Albuquerque, in Northern California, Sacramento area, Austin, Texas, and probably other cities. So we're still in the midst of planning those. Just wanted to make sure that you knew that was happening. Or as you can see, the title of our workshop this year is Navigating Uncharted Territory, and it's our quest for joy, meaning, and connection in an ever-changing world. So really relevant to what we're all experiencing in today's crazy world. So we will be offering this particular workshop over Zoom at some point in the year for any of you who are in the spaces in between, the places where we don't have a live workshop. So just be aware that this will be offered to everyone. Okay. Has everyone heard about our All In Summit? I see a couple thumbs up. Any thumbs down? You have not heard of it? Okay, so we have a couple people who haven't heard of it. So this is very exciting. We are planning a very big event in Washington, D.C., and it'll be a convening of all kinds of leaders in our network. So as you see here, who should attend? So existing community and support group leaders, such as yourselves, new and prospective support group leaders. We're trying to recruit new people. So this is something that I would love you to kind of keep in the back of your mind, and I'll show you more specifically why. And then other kinds of leaders in our movement disorders community, such as exercise group leaders, that might be rock steady, it could be dance, it could be power moves. People who lead classes like that, allied health professionals, partner nonprofit organization staff and volunteers, and then PMD Alliance ambassadors. So these are the folks that we would love to attend. This is a 3-day, 4-day, a 4-day workshop that is blowing my mind in October in DC. So hoping you put that on your radar. I see a question mark with Phil, if you'd like to unmute yourself and ask your question.
I'll be quick. Thank you, Shannon.
Sure.
And I don't want to ask the wrong question, but PMD Alliance was so generous to pick up the hotel in Phoenix. Does that continue to go? Does that apply at these other cities and also maybe in Washington, D.C.? Or has that been decided yet?
We are still in the midst of planning what this is going to look like. There are going to be kind of different tiers, it seems like. And so I don't want to say too much and maybe speak without having enough information. But we will, as soon as we have this information, we will post registration, and then you will be able to see how that's going to work. We do have, and then Ashley, you might be able to help me with this, the I Am Poem Project. Are we still taking poems for the drawing for free airfare?
We are, yeah. So if you want to submit a poem, it's called an I Am poem, and maybe Kelly can drop the link in the chat, and there's explanations of how you do this. If you submit a poem, you'll be entered into a giveaway to win a trip, an airfare to the summit in October. And the deadline for that is May 20th. We've extended it. So May 20th, you have until to win a free trip.
Wonderful. That's really good to hear. The extra time will be helpful for sure. Originally, it was a deadline of this month, so we have more time. So get your creative writing going and write a poem, submit it. It would be great to have as many of you at the summit as possible. It's going to be a wonderful time. Any other questions? Oh, yes.
Maybe it'd be worth noting that our workshops, which we mentioned are going to be in Pittsburgh and Nashville and all of those other places, that is where you will get a free hotel night, because the program is a day and a half. So we pay for your hotel the night that you're there with us. I believe that with this all-in summit, there will be a cost to you. However, we are creating all sorts of packages in which the hotel and the meals and things like that would all be included. And we are working on fundraising with our corporate sponsors to try and get as much money out of our corporate sponsors as we can to minimize the costs to you all. So the workshops are going to be free as long as you could get there, and then the all-in summit will have some sort of cost. So just to kind of be a little clearer on that.
Thank you, Rachel. Good perspective and the difference between those two programs that we're offering. Okay, anything else before we move on? Phil's holding something up. I can't see it. Let's
do DC and San Diego.
The
2023, the all-in summit be in San Diego.
West Coast beach party. I like it. All right, so we are going to have our breakout session, and I want this to feel like an open forum for you to bring any topics, questions, things you want to discuss with your colleagues. Sometimes we need a little bit of a prompt, and so I would like to propose we ask ourselves the question, how can we potentially recruit and engage new support group leaders in our movement disorder community? This is feeding into the All-In Summit. What we've experienced during the pandemic has been really hard on our movement disorders community. We think that about 30% of our support groups across the country have gone away for one reason or another. And because you're here, you obviously know the importance of what you do. And so we at PMD Alliance want to crowdsource. We want your input. What do you think might help us to recruit new support group leaders? People who can co-facilitate together or help with an existing group or start a brand new group. Think about specific types of groups, like Clemmy was mentioning, Spanish speaking groups or rural communities, things like that. Maybe there's a subset that, you know, a special kind of group that might be helpful. So I'd love you to brainstorm that if you would like in your groups, your breakouts today. And again, please feel free to talk about whatever topics are burning questions and concerns for you right now. Is that fairly clear? We're going to have, let's see, I'm thinking with the number of people we have in the meeting today, maybe more like 5 in a group. Does that sound like a good number for everybody? It's 5 is kind of optimal for sharing. I do see 3 of us, 4 of us. I can't see your faces, so I'm not sure if you're able to participate fully. And so if you do have the ability to show us your, or turn on your video, then I would know that you're there. Karen, thank you. Looks like Freddie's there. Awesome. Mary Jane, Lacey, I'm not sure if you're there or not, but it would be great to have you all participate. So in that case, maybe we look at like 5 to 6 people. Kelly, she's doing the magic in the background.
Sounds good.
And 45 minutes-ish, or maybe we can do 50.
Whoa.
Keep it at 45. Joe, is that a lot of time? Too much time?
It seems like a lot, but it probably will go by too quickly, so keep it at 50.
You know, it's funny you say that because that's what we hear every time. When it's time to come back, everyone's like, oh, we didn't have enough time. So let's keep it a long one. Did someone have, oh, was Rachel, what'd you say?
I was just joking that people say, we didn't even cover the topic. We didn't cover the time.
Yeah, exactly. So let's do 50 minutes. I will send you a halfway warning, and then I'll send you, how about 5-minute warning, something like that. And so we make sure to get everyone talking. You can designate a note taker. And then when we have share backs afterward, we'll bring everyone back to the main room, and then we can share insights, anything you may have discussed and want to share with everyone. Sound good, everyone? Okay, good. All right, Kelly, how are we doing on that?
I am ready when you're ready.
I'm going to stop my share. Do you need me to copy and paste the question in the chat? Is that helpful, or do you have it? Roger has thumbs up, so yes, do that. Okay, let me get this going. I've got 15 windows open. That's always exciting. All right, so I'm going to put that in the chat so it'll be available for everyone once you break out. And then again, I'll give you your little warnings and we'll see you on the other side. Enjoy your conversations, everybody. I'm going to stop my share, and then Kelly, you can do your thing.
All right, here we go. Get ready to blast off.
Hello, hello.
All right, welcome back, everyone. How did it feel, the 50 minutes?
Very
Good
good.
amount of time? Okay, wasn't too much. We'll feel it out. We can adjust as we go.
It
So
went fast.
it always does. Okay, so we have about 15 minutes left of our roundtable, and we have 5 groups. So I thought we might go from group to group and then ask someone to share back for approximately 2.5 to 3 minutes. I know that's specific, but if we stick to that, then everybody gets a chance. So why don't we start with the first room that had Carol, Cheryl, Diane, Phil, and Ashley. If someone wants to speak up for that group. Any volunteers?
I think Phil is a volunteer.
Oh,
Yes,
great.
but guess what, Shannon? I'm volunteering Carol because Carol has had, well, I'll let her tell you why. I think she would be the best spokesperson.
Oh dear. Okay. Well, we had one person on our group who has a very large support group and wonderful.
May I ask 1 second, Carol? I think we have a couple of Carols on the call. So I just want to make sure that we have the right person speaking for the right group. So it looks like Carol in Cincinnati is in group 1. Is that who we're talking? Okay, so Carol in Cincinnati, you're muted, and then Carol Helming, we'll hear from you in just a little bit.
That's all right.
Okay, thank you.
I turn over my presentation to Cheryl. She took notes.
Pass off. Okay, we are losing precious.
I'll go fast.
Nothing like passing the buck.
Basically, we did not answer the question about recruitment.
Okay.
The group we're with is currently asking the same question. We don't have an answer yet. Diane shared a little bit about her grief group, and we all shared how we run our support groups. Everybody has different methods. We talked about the I Am poem, and Carol had a great story about having like when she started a little while ago, 20 years, that she had a billboard and people literally stopped on the highway and got the information for the support group.
That was the recruiting.
Yeah. The main thing we talked about was advertising for your support group, that you connect with another group. I connect with a neurobalance center, you can connect with a church, a Parkinson's organization, anything you can find to connect with to advertise your support group is what you do. And I think that's the basics of what we talked about the I Am poem a little bit.
Great.
Yeah.
May I go back to your point about advertising? And are you using flyers? Are you posting on bulletin boards or newsletters?
I personally have business cards, and I also have a website called insideparkinsons.com.
Mhm.
And so I advertise the website, and then on the back, I have my cell phone number, and I give it to the people at the Neuro Rehab Balance Center. They give it to the people, and then they call me.
Excellent. So it's small, has all
Yeah.
the information. People, yeah. So flyers can sometimes maybe be
I've done
a little bit-
flyers, they don't work because then you have to update them. This is very basic, just has my information to call me, and then I give them the information. Because things change too fast, especially with the pandemic and all that. So.
That is very true. And I'm just going to plug something quickly regarding that. I don't know if you all know, on the PMD Alliance website, we have a listing of support groups across the country.
We
So
talked about
it's under our resources tab, and then you look for find a group, and then make sure A, that you're on there, and then B, that it's up to date. We will be giving more information soon about how you as leaders will be able to do that yourselves by logging in through the app. I don't even know the information, the ins and outs of it. So we'll all learn together. But that's great to keep as updated as possible as we move forward. But I love the business card idea. Thanks to group one. And to Cheryl for sharing for group one. Let's move to the second group that had Eden, Judy Reynolds, Lacey, it looks like Nell, possibly, and then Roger Tregellis. Who was your note taker? Roger, I see, yes.
Well, I was sort of like the informal scribe. We really didn't have an official scribe. So we talked about the topic a little bit about recruitment. We talked a lot about the fact that also most of our groups are hybrids now, and they'll probably always stay that way. That like for my group, it was on hybrid. It was on Zooms for 2 years. And then when it went back to hybrid, we had a lot of people come in person, and now it's gone back to being hardly anybody in person because people, you don't have to get dressed, you don't have to drive, so we talk about the recruitment and engagement for new support leaders because I struggle. I can't get anybody to be a backup for me. And we all came up with the thought that we really need to bribe people with money or vacation trips or something to join us as support group leaders, because I think a lot of the people are afraid of running a support group, but it's hybrid. Because if the Zoom part scares some people to death, and it'd be better if you had one person that did manage the in-person and another person manage the Zoom part. But if you have to do it all yourself, like me, it's a lot to ask for, and that's the scary part, that we're struggling with getting people to want to, be a backup. Like for me, I'm moving from Sarasota to Venice in the last week of next month. There's no way I'm going to be able to run the group. I'm hoping I can find somebody who can step up at the plate.
Wow.
I'll cover for you if I can come to Venice twice a year.
Sure thing, Phil.
I'd like to and learn Italian.
Excellent. I like this collaboration.
It's Venice, Florida, by the way, not Italy.
Too bad. Thank you, Roger, for sharing for group two. A couple of things that I wanted to mention, and sorry, it's like these little side offshoots, but related. We will be holding our next roundtable is on a different Monday of the month. Usually it's the last Monday of the month. Next month in May, it's the 16th. So please put that on your calendars. It's because of holidays and travel and stuff. So just know that that's happening on the 16th. And then regarding new support group leaders, we will be offering like a fundamentals 101 course for new leaders and for any veterans or people who've been doing it for a while who want a refresh. We have a wonderful resource guide, but we don't teach that very often because a lot of us have been through that training before. So we keep doing new information along the way. So we're going to go back to the basics. That will be on a Saturday. So you can put this in your calendar as well. It's June 25th. And so it'll likely be a 2.5-ish hour morning session, break for lunch, and then another 2.5-ish hour afternoon session. It's a lot, but there's a lot to cover, and we will record it. We will then be offering that as an on-demand course for future potential new leaders, anyone wanting to review that information. Just wanted to get those things out there. And regarding Zoom, leading groups on Zoom, we do have recordings of past trainings that I led and facilitated during COVID. So those are all available on our website. If anyone has questions, please let me know. Yes, that is always a thing. The succession planning for groups, who's going to take over if someone leaves, if someone gets sick, or whatever that is. So that's also why it's important for us to think about how to recruit and engage new support group leaders. Thank you all for being here. Just want to throw that back out there. You're all doing wonderful work, and we know that this is heartfelt for you. Okay, we are on to room number 3. We had Joe Sterling, Kai in Hawaii, Mary Jane, and Steve Phillips, please.
Helming was in this group.
Carol
Okay.
Helming. I think she may have popped off the call. I don't see her.
We didn't see her.
Okay.
I don't think we answered the question of that, but we shared a lot of good practices that we had. I also say I was very, very impressed. Mary has a huge amount of people. You said 1,100. It was like, wow, that is scary. But that was incredible. We also found out that there's a lot of other issues that we're not maybe looking at that much, such as people that live in a senior center, live in a senior assisted housing, may still be under quarantine situations, and that may be very, very difficult for them to have support group meetings or anything successful like that. But a big thing that we did was we shared a lot of really good practices. I started filling up my notepad with a whole bunch of stuff that was written, you know, I think that was beneficial to us. We really didn't get into the finding somebody else, although I think a couple of times people, myself included, said, well, if necessary, beg.
Beg.
Yeah, but I think, you know, really most of the discussion was about how we can, you know, best do the best things for the support groups that we have right now. Well, I also heard a couple of things about people finding that people are, they think that they're protective, but they're actually restricting people from going from group to group or something like that, which surprised me. But anyway.
That's an interesting point. Groups have personalities, don't they? And different dynamics, depending on who's there and who the leader is or who the co-leaders are. And so, yes, wouldn't it be lovely if we could all share and go to any group that resonates with us, and we learn different things and we have connections with different kinds of people. So I agree, Joe. I think I agree in that maybe we should all think about being open-minded about the sharing and visiting.
Well, it's not like we're getting paid by the amount of people we have in our groups or something like that. I mean,
right.
You know, it's, I think we said they're not customers, I think was the comment somebody said, which was very good.
I like that. And it's about removing the ego part of being a leader. It's not about us, is it? Even though we're essential, but it's not about us. So yes, we as humans have to remind ourselves of that all the time. Thank you to Joe and to the third group. Let's see. I lost my breakouts.
Group 4 had Clemmy, Karen,
thank you,
Katie, Myra, and Rob. Who's talking?
Bob is.
All right, Rob.
We kind of sort of tried to ask the question. I think we did a pretty good job, but the biggest takeaway I had was that we need to really have people participate first and work them into the system of volunteering, Warren brought up, we have a guy that's in charge of getting coffee or helping people with their badges, things like that. And then as you kind of see who the more willing people are to volunteer and help, you kind of use them to help gauge who's going to be your next leader type thing.
Right.
The other thing was maybe combining with other disorders like essential tremor or PSP. If you don't have a huge group of Parkinson's people, you could maybe team up with other movement disorders.
Great idea.
And then I think it was I can't remember who said it, but the using business cards to I think it was Karen actually, but she had business cards that she takes out to the different doctors, and then so you find out who the people have the condition, and then you use them to help facilitate new groups for me.
Mm-hmm.
They're very helpful to me. I'm just starting a group, and so they suggested starting exercise classes as well. It's a good way to get people involved, and then make sure you have a social connection beforehand. So I think that was the main points we came up with.
Great notes. Yes. I love that spin-off idea of starting with people who are getting together already to exercise. And then, hey, why don't we actually stay an hour after, once a month and see if we can start a support group that way. I know that happens quite frequently. That's great. Regarding sharing the load, we like to say, in a group, in a support group, you're going to have different responsibilities that can be divided up amongst the different group members to engage them, maybe slowly with something small at first, and then perhaps over time they get more confidence and they would like to contribute in other ways. We will be talking about that in our fundamentals class on the 25th of June. So stay tuned for more information on that. It's in our resource guide. Absolutely. It's great to bring that up. So thank you to group number 4. We have one more group, and that is Dave, Deborah, Freddie, Karen in Santa Cruz, and then Lauren.
Jan?
Yes.
I was in the group that just went. There was one other thing that came up was there seems to be a group of people that are happy with Zoom, and other people want to be in the same room. And one of the thoughts was maybe we need to split those. And there's one group that's just a Zoom, and that's if you want to be on Zoom, this is the group you join. And another group that's in person. And that actually creates more jobs. But on the other hand, people might be more dedicated to one or the other.
I love that. Thank you for bringing that up, Warren. That's a discussion we've been having a lot within our staff, talking about hybrids, pluses and minuses. Do you do Zoom? Do you do in person? Do you try to have both? And so from my perspective and all the research that I've done, even Dance for PD, David Leventhal has similar ideas on this, that it's best to separate, like you're mentioning, so that the people on Zoom can have all of your attention. And then in an in-person meeting, those people have all of your attention. You're not split. You're not trying to be two places at once. And it's very difficult to do that well. People do have hybrids of sorts where they just have like a computer in the room. And so it's sort of capturing what's happening, but there's not a whole lot of cross communication going on. It's really difficult to make that happen, and it probably takes about 4 people to do that well.
I was gonna say it's person intensive.
Yes.
There needs to be a lot of people paying attention to the computer, paying attention to the people there. And, you know, a lot of groups have discussed the idea of doing, you know, 3 out of their 4 sessions online, and then 1 session a month in person if they meet weekly, to sort of have that hybrid feel, or to get the people who want to meet in person involved still. Because yes, you may have different groups who would rather see each other in person. So to appease those people to be able to do, you know, some of your sessions online only, and then 1 a month in person seems to make sense for a lot of groups.
Thanks for bringing that up, Rachel. And we do know that it's a different animal. It's a different beast to be in the same room with human beings. Different kinds of sharing happens, different kinds of connection. And so to offer that, but maybe not every week, but offer it as a possibility, I would recommend it. We obviously, with COVID, we have certain things to take into consideration with safety. But just wanted to put that out there. Humans, you know, people need people. All right, so we have one more group.
Somebody's singing. Was that Phil?
It could only be Phil.
I just muted you, Phil. Okay, the last room, we have Dave, Deborah, Fred, Karen, and Lauren. Looks like Shannon is frozen.
I'm back now. Sorry about that. Must be my connection.
Who was the speaker for the last group? Lauren, was it you?
No, I was in the group just before, the same group with Rob.
Oh, Lauren. I said Lauren, and I actually muted you instead of unmuting you. I apologize.
Our technical fun.
Our group, we didn't totally answer the question about recruiting new leaders, but a couple things we talked about was to give small tasks or ask people in the group to do small things to get them involved in the leadership of the group, instead of overwhelming them with the whole thing at once, or to have a committee of people so that the burden isn't shared by just one person. We talked a lot about how to get the word out about our groups, about marketing to the doctor's offices, and not just the movement disorder special offices, but general neurology and all that, about putting flyers out, about advertising on local, like your local patch or neighborhood Facebook groups, or the next door pages, things like that is a good way to get the word out. Karen, what else did we talk about? I think the basics.
Karen is muted if you'd like to unmute yourself and contribute. There you are.
I think that, you know, we all recognize that we'll need to be replaced someday. So we recognize the importance of, you know, encouraging people to take over some of these roles. And the other thing that we found in our group is that for the small groups, for care partners, for the singing group, which actually is quite a large group now, or for women with Parkinson's, they seem to work best when they're organized and run by people who have a vested interest in that particular topic. We talked about reaching out to the Spanish speaking population, but until we have somebody who comes to us and said, you know, I'd like to help get that off the ground. I have connections here in South County with some of the neurologists. Can you help us? At that point, I think we would come in and help people with that. But the other thing that we mentioned in terms of foreign language was to modify our website by putting a message to Spanish-speaking people, which points them to resources in national organizations in Spanish. So, you know, we're trying our best, but you know, attracting new people. Our newsletter currently goes out to 600 people, mostly by email, very few by US mail anymore. So it gets out to a lot of people. And but we still know that there are other people in Santa Cruz County who maybe don't know about us, or they know about us and have chosen not to become engaged. And that's always an issue also, is that there are some people who, you know, want to sort of handle things on their own, but usually once they start to meet the people in our group, they say, hey, where has this group been? This is a great group. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. We were just talking, the three of us, Kelly, Rachel, and I, during your breakout session about that very thing, and just convincing folks who tend to stay isolated and they, for whatever reason, don't get into a group right away. And then how do we pull them into the fold? How do we convince them to show up and then realize that it's a wonderful community and they're going to gain so much and have support from one another. So yeah, another thing to put on our list to continue brainstorming ways to do this.
And I think the theme of having people do little jobs that will help, that kind of gives them a vested interest in the group, gives you a little bit of help along the way, and sort of in the long-term sense, hoping that those people that do have a vested interest in helping a little bit can continue to help, and that eventually down the road we'll be able to, substitute if one of the facilitators aren't there one day, and then continue to do that. So I think having people doing little jobs that are easy for people to do, easy for people to handle, not super committal, will really help down the road.
Agreed. Yes, people can step up to the plate, as it were. I see in the chat talking about more specific groups like foreign languages, either Chinese, Vietnamese. Lauren's talking about, and we're talking about Karen in Santa Cruz area, trying to engage Spanish speaking. And so this is an initiative that we are very much interested in at PMD Alliance. So Clemmy, who has been on the call, she had to get off for another meeting, but that is really going to be her focus. And so we love that you are also thinking of this and wondering ways to make it a change. And this is not easy, right? And so sometimes it's accessibility, sometimes it's technology, or we've got a lot of cultural differences, and so there's a lot that goes into it.
I think there's a stigma that people have, that a support group is a scary place, or what do I need a support group for? But I think that when people really join and see all that can come from it and get all of the wonderful tips and tricks out of a 1 hour support group session, that they realize how important it is. But I think there's a bit of a stigma when people aren't a part of any support group, kind of thinking, oh, what am I getting myself involved in? I don't know if anybody else has had that experience.
I find that some people get depressed. I have had a few people call that said, I went to one of your meetings, but I didn't go back because I saw the people with their walkers, or the people with their tremors, or the people with their wheelchairs. But in reality, the overwhelming number of people at those meetings are able-bodied, they're active, they're upbeat, and they're not seeing those. They're saying, well, this is where I'm going to be in the future. It doesn't happen very often, though. Most people who come to our group immediately find something in it that they can relate to. And it doesn't always have to be all about Parkinson's. Sometimes we have meetings that are just a getting to know you kind of thing. I put together a 25 questionnaire where they had to go around in a meeting and get people's signatures of people who liked cats or didn't like cilantro, or were born outside California, whatever. And they were laughing and having a wonderful time. And we had, we had prizes, just for people just to get to know each other as people, and not people who have Parkinson's in their lives. So I think we're wrestling with when to go back in person, but I'm going to, at our board meeting tomorrow, I'm going to suggest that we resume a picnic in August outside at a local park. It won't be potluck this time. We'll bring our own food. We can bring folding chairs. We can wear masks or whatever. But I think that will get people back to, for those who want to meet in person, I think that will serve as a pathway for getting people back to meeting in person for those who are comfortable with that.
Great idea to meet outside first. And then one thing I want to say before we go to Dave, and it's regarding the chat, and I'm glad that Roger and Lauren, passionate about getting more minority groups involved with support groups. And just to remember too, sometimes it's a mistrust of the healthcare system. So to kind of remember that, like, we have to pull back and like, okay, we need to come at this from a different way. And so just, yes, and this is not my specialty, but yes, let's start having these conversations. And then Roger and Lauren, I'm sure Clemmy would love to pick your brain, because this is what she's focusing on. So please, let's keep this going. Dave.
I'm just going to make a counterpoint that there's that segment that was just mentioned that doesn't want to come because they don't want to see people in walkers and so forth. But it's actually good that they come and see people in walkers, because then you can tell them, it's nice that when you do get to that point, you've got this kind of people. You got this kind of support behind you.
Very true.
It shows them they're going to have the support behind them when their time does come. That, yeah, you got to accept it. There are rough times ahead, but you're gonna have support. This is the kind of support you'll have, and I think that takes some of the fear away from.
Good point.
Yeah, thanks for underscoring that, Dave. I think I saw Myra unmute. Did you want to say something, Myra?
Well, actually, on that point, unfortunately, I think some doctors will say to patients, well, you may not want to go to a support group because of that. So, you're getting at both ends. But it's so important that, we're people. However we're moving, we're people. We have feelings inside just like they do, just like a new person come in and they'll be able to understand them,
Touching on what Myra said about neurologists not being supportive sometimes and steering people away from support groups. I had that experience when I ran a group in upstate New York, and I got the name of the neurologist, and I contacted the neurologist and I said, would you like to come to speak to our group? And I said, we'd love to hear from you. This person has spoken to us and this neurologist has spoken to us, and the next thing you know, he was speaking to us. So I think once he got there in person and could share his experiences with the group and could hear from people in the group, I think it changed his mind about promoting support. Some support groups aren't really very helpful, but most, I think, are very helpful.
That's a great idea. Yeah. So even doctors can come up with their own ideas and not be informed about what's really happening. And so let's help them realize what's going on and appreciate the community that can be formed and the importance of that. So we are 15 minutes over time. I love how passionate we are about our discussions and keeping the conversation going. Yes, we have another roundtable on May 16th. Let me know if there are any specific topics that you would like to be brought up, or we keep it open-ended like this one. That's completely fine by us. Just let us know what you need. Feel free to be in touch with me via email, shannon@pmdalliance.org. Thank you all for being here. What a great community we have. Thank you all. Have a great rest of your Monday and week, and we will see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Great to see you all. Bye. Thanks for coming.